Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Project Truth Ministries. If you are looking for truth, you have come to the right place. I want to say thank you so much for joining me. We have some amazing stuff to walk with you and share with you today. I want to say a special thank you to The Way Remnant and Jeff Brennan setting all this up and allowing us to stream on his platform. And this will also be live on Project Truth Ministries. If you haven't subscribed to Project Truth Ministries, what are you doing with yourself? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And also share some love to The Way Remnant. Go ahead and hit their subscription. They're awesome. And Janice and I are going to be appearing more on their channel soon. So look for those. But to give you all you newcomers out there who don't really know too much about Project Truth Ministries, I'll give you a little summary. Well, first of all, we focus on New Testament Hebrew manuscripts, and we also focus on the real Mount Sinai, not the traditional site. We focus on the archaeology that's being found. We take people there, we show people the footage of it. So that's some of the two things that we focus on. Part of that, we have a manuscript project that we run along with our ministry. And I must introduce you to the Hebrew grammarian of that project, introduce you to my co-pilot, Janice Baca. Let me give you a little introduction to her for you. She is a Hebrew grammarian. She's been studying first century Hebrew for 7 years now. I personally met her at an institute where we were working on some manuscripts, and we were both translating and working on different manuscripts. But after that institute, we went on to work on the Cochin series, the Cochin manuscripts, and we put out a Revelation. We're in the process of putting out a Matthew, all Hebrew from Cochin, India. If you haven't followed that series, make sure you go to Project Truth Ministries YouTube channel. And you can see our walkthrough studies. We show you all kinds of cool stuff. Janice, am I missing anything else?
No, Brian, but it's exciting to go live with you today and just take that big risk and go out there. Now, you and I, we've done this on other shows, and it's always fun to go live with The Way Remnant with Jeff and Miranda. They're such a wonderful friends of Project Truth Ministries, and we adore them, and they make it fun. So, not that you're not fun. I'm not insinuating that because
I'll try to spice it up a little.
I don't think we're going to have lions in this video, though, Brian.
I'll work one in there if I
we'll
can.
have to work a lion in there. I agree. So, but it is wonderful to be here. No, you haven't missed anything. The passion that you and I both share, as well as our team members, are two main things. The real Mount Sinai, like you said, the Hebrew New Testament manuscripts that contain the first century markers, the grammar. And that's what I want people to understand. So if you've never been on our channel before, this manuscript that we're focusing primarily on at this moment in time is extremely important, and we'll get into that. And so that's the two things that we primarily focus on, the truths of God's word.
Yeah, and you can see some of our free material at projecttruthministries.org. Go there, go to our website, check it out, click around. There's so much there. And that's our calling. Our calling is to give you out all the stuff that we're finding for free because we love you, and it belongs in your hand, quite frankly. This is the book of Revelation. This is Matthew. We have James out there, and we're continuing on. Our next plan is to move on to Acts, and we're going to give you this Hebrew manuscript translated with all the bells and whistles for free because we love you and you need it. You need to know about this manuscript.
That's right.
With that being said, Janice.
Yes.
I heard you're part of a club.
I am.
I'm not part of a club. It's called the I Wrote a Book Club.
I am part of that club.
Janice, come on.
I did.
I need to get in that club. I have so many books just sitting up here, just ready to jump out of me. And
I gotta write it down.
Time. But apparently Janice found the time, and that's why we're here. We're here to talk about her new book. Janice,
yes,
give us some kind of high-level view of your book and what inspired you, and where did all this come from? and then we
Okay.
can jump in to the good stuff and
Okay.
walk people through some nuggets.
So, Brian, you and I, we've spent a long time on a series of the Cochin Hebrew Revelation. We've gone literally chapter by chapter, verse by verse, and we're doing an analysis of this manuscript, and we're comparing it to we're comparing it to other like the Greek and to the Aramaic and so forth, and we're looking at the grammatical markers. But then there was some things that has been coming up. I felt like the Father was showing me. And one of those things that I actually had stumbled upon, I say that Father actually showed it to me. And I went on the way remnant and with Jeff and Miranda Brannon, and I
Shout out
taught.
to them.
Yeah, I know, right? We love our friends there at the Way Remnant. And I taught them about what I found with the Tanin, the dragon, and Psalm 91. Well, that actually started leading into something. I kept finding my way going back to Psalm 91. And if you guys haven't watched the video on the Way Remnant, it's also, you'll find the link on projecttruthministries.org, and you'll see the key to defeating the dragon and the beast. And the teaching that I did was how to defeat the dragon and the beast. There's so much information in that video, but I felt like I wasn't finished. It wasn't complete. And so because it wasn't complete, I knew that I had to go back and study it some more. But then I kept going back to the Song of Moses of all things. And so that people understand what the Song of Moses is that in Deuteronomy 32, the Song of Moses is a song that was written against the people of Jehovah who betrayed and rebelled against the covenant of Jehovah. And so this song was written for a purpose of to bring judgment because they broke that covenant. But I couldn't yet put it together as to why that I was drawn to the Song of Moses, but I knew that it was the Father sending me there. And so, but then I started seeing some things around the earth. You and I, Brian, talk about this a lot about things that's happening, the wars, rumors of wars. We see there's a lot of demonic things going on. People are being drawn to witchcraft. There's a lot more poltergeist type activities going on. And I'm hearing all these things that, such as sleep paralysis. And we'll get into some of this later because that you and I actually have had some things happen against us just trying to put out the Cochin Hebrew Revelation.
Yeah.
And after we finish the entire series of the Revelation, which is only 2 more videos about, then we're going to give a testimony of what we had to go through to get this out to the public for free. And I
People
think
will be
people would
blown
be
away
shocked.
by
Yeah,
that.
I think people
Yeah.
would be really shocked with that. But there was something that you and I had talked about the Song of Moses, and one of those verses that actually, it wasn't until that moment in time I started really clicking on things, the Song of Moses, Psalm 91, and several other verses. And I really started digging into that research. And this is a book that is based on the research. It actually was going to be a published paper, but then it became so long that I decided to make it a book. And so this is the results of that research. And I do believe that there will be a series that will be published because I'm still studying. I don't know that for sure right now, but I know that there's more information that the Father will be revealing through this. So that's, long story short, that's what this is a result from. And I, look forward to showing you guys what I have found in this research.
Yeah. And, just to encourage people, if you haven't checked out our coaching stuff, I'm going to tell you, Janice and I have seen that there have been doors opened in the text of textual things that nobody has seen. We didn't even know they were even doors. And so we find things like this that link up to, Song of Moses in this case, but we find all these connections back to the Torah, back to the Old Testament that are otherwise not found in the Greek. So this Hebrew collection is truly amazing. And if you want your mind blown, go check it out. With that
So,
being, yeah, go ahead,
no,
Janice.
I'm sorry, Brian.
Mhm.
We're not used to this, are we? We're just not used to
Now
being live.
we're not used to being live, but hey, we're gonna roll with it. We'll
We're
roll
gonna
with the
roll
punches.
with the punches.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and show the slide
mhm.
because I wanna
Sure.
I wanna show some of these things.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and start digging in.
Okay, demons, devils, and deities. That is the name of the book and the four witnesses. This is a name specifically designed to bring out things that I have discovered within these scriptures. Um, it's not to be so creepy, but it actually is something that is all under Jehovah's control and command. And
Mhm,
so, but what I want to do, Brian, if you'll page down one time, I want to read over the verses. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about this, Brian. Let's talk about why the Cochin Hebrew manuscript has been so essential.
mhm,
Okay, I want to highlight all the things that we have found that actually has blown people's minds throughout this year or so, however long we've been revealing this revelation. Because if people don't understand the significance of this manuscript, and some will say, well, it's got problems. It has some problems. I'm not saying it doesn't have some
eh,
problems.
newsflash, all the manuscripts have problems.
Yes, they all do. They all do, and
Yeah.
more so than this one, actually.
Mhm,
Now, this one has some things that actually changes and actually connects us to the Old Testament, the
mhm.
Tanakh, what we call the
Yeah.
Tanakh. And because it connects us to the Old Testament, it reveals things that no one has ever in 2,000 years has connected these dots together, at least until now that this is being revealed to this
Mhm.
manuscript. And let me tell you, many scholars have looked at this manuscript, and many scholars, they write papers, they will give their analysis, and then they pretty much walk away. No one's highlighted what we're about to highlight today. And so I say that with all sincerity because the people need to understand how significant it is. So let's look at that first item on
Yeah.
the list. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say, I assure you people, Janice is gonna drop some bombs on you if you haven't been in part of this walkthrough study that we've been doing on Revelation. However, I will assure you there are a lot more bombshells than what she's gonna show. These are just some big payloads that she's dropping. So let's go.
Agreed, agreed, because there's no way to go over all of them.
Mhm,
So the highlight of this is that we've discovered who the 144,000 are, and that they receive what's called a tav on their forehead, which could possibly mean even not only a mark or a sign, but also music. Not only that, it actually connects us back to Ezekiel 9, where they were sealed in Jerusalem. Now, Ezekiel 9 has not happened, so it has an appearance that the 144,000 will be sealed in Jerusalem. And yes, they're men, women, and even possibly children. We have a video on that at projecttruthministries.org.
yeah.
We also found the four horses that connects to Zechariah 6. You guys, that strong, the green horse is not green horse. There's a white horse, a black horse, a red horse, and guess what? There's a strong and modeled horse, just like it's described in
Yeah.
Zechariah 6, right, Brian?
It matches right up, says the same stuff.
It does. And then when you connect it with Zechariah 6, then you see the directions from Zechariah 6, the directions the horses are going. So that's exactly, it's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's amazing to see these things. We also found that Yeshua speaks Hebrew. He speaks
Yes.
Hebrew. Remember that video we did,
If
Brian?
yeah, if that wasn't obvious to a lot of our listeners, um, but we found more textual proof to prove that he was speaking Hebrew, even though it's kind of self-obvious. Even in the Greek, even the Greek
It
tells you.
is. It
But
is.
we put that nail in the coffin with our text finding
That's right.
that specific evidence.
That's right. And then the 3 days and 3 nights of Yeshua
Hmm.
being in the grave. There
Yep.
was a video we did on that.
Hmm. That
And
was pretty
so
exciting.
that one was pretty exciting. All of these were very exciting. Then we had the dragon, the Tanin, that's Hebrew for Tanin. That's in Psalm 91. And I'm going to get into that more specifically. I'll only touch on it tonight, but I will dig into this on part 2 when I go on the way remnant on July 7th. And so that's going to be very, very important for people to really listen to when I go on the way remnant. Because there's a way to defeat the dragon, guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you remember the siman, the Hebrew word for siman, the sign of the beast. It's not the mark of the beast because it's a siman. It's an ancient word, that a very old word that can mean mark, it can mean sign, but it also has first been translated as omen in the Mishnah. And so that's different.
And yeah, an omen basically comes along with also being cursed. So if
That's
you take
right.
the mark, you are cursed.
That's
That
right.
makes sense. You're sealed and cursed.
That's
Don't
right.
ever take the mark, people.
No, never take the mark. So the Song of the Lamb and the Song of Moses, this one was the bombshell that actually started really working in me. The Song of the Lamb and the Song of Moses are not one song, but 2 songs. Revelation 15:3 and 4, when you and I talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is extremely important because the Song of Moses has to be sung, must be sung in the latter days. And I will show you the reason why. So
Mm-hmm.
these are the highlights of only the few things that are really bombshell information that we found in the Cochin Hebrew manuscript that is extremely mind-blowing information, and it is revolutionizing. It actually changes some Christian doctrine at times,
Mm-hmm.
because such as the 144,000, they're not virgins, they're like virgins. And so that's pretty significant. So, is there anything that I may have missed, Brian, that was actually very, very important that we discovered in the Cochin manuscripts?
Oh, I mean, you're asking me anything else? Well, I'm telling you, there's so many that you can't count. We just keep stacking up more and more markers, Hebrew markers or positive markers of these manuscripts. Well, I'm going to be sharing a few more that we found in Hebrew. We're not all the way done with Matthew, but found some more in Hebrew Matthew that I'm going to be going on to the way remnant. I think that is July 9th.
Yes.
And I'll be sharing some more. I'll give you a teaser. There's something in the Matthew that shows you that Yeshua was quarreling with people. I'll just say, okay, yeah,
Wow.
there's a little teaser.
Wow.
But yeah, back to the revelation. I mean, there's so many little nuggets that I'm telling you, if you haven't watched the study, just motor your way through them. Each
Yes.
video has pretty much a bombshell in it
Yes.
that will sometimes shake your doctrine, but if you're pursuing truth, you'll go where the truth takes you. And
Yes.
that's kind of how we started out that series, saying, listen, a lot of people's doctrines are going to get rocked. We're just telling you what's in this manuscript. So
That's
come
all we're
along with the
doing.
ride and see what's in it, and you'll be blown away knowing
That's
that this
right.
thing exists.
And that's the whole point of this, Brian. We're truth seekers. And because we're truth seekers, we're looking to see what the original manuscript looked like. What we know that it's a copy of a copy of a copy many generations down. However, it still retained the grammar, it retained key phrases, key words, and it retained the things that we needed for these end of days. And the reason why that I felt like I had to write this book, because there's information we need for these latter days. Because we're in it, Brian. And I think we're at this point that we need to recognize things are not good, and that we have a choice of what side of Revelation we're going to be on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these are the choices we need to make.
Yeah. And
So,
it's funny because one of our listeners, our viewers, they pointed out, like, hey, have you noticed every time you put out one of these videos, one of these chapters for Revelation, the Cochin Scroll of Mysteries, that something big happens in the world? And we were on like maybe chapter 3 or 4 when somebody said that, and me and Janice was like, okay, well, we'll take note that every time we release something, something major happens. And I'm telling you,
Every single
it
time.
started happening, like, obviously, every chapter that we put
Every
out,
time.
boom, here comes something huge, and, you know.
Absolutely. And it's true. And I think that you and I have actually come to this point that when we record a chapter, we say, okay, what's going to happen now? And so we sort of brace ourselves because things are really going to, they're going to start twirling and swirling, you know, what do you want to call it? And so when we started looking at these, you know, what's going to happen at the last few chapters? What's going to happen then when we complete it? I don't know. But I do believe that this book, The Demons, Devils, and Deities, and the Four Witnesses, are essential to learn about, because this is also pointing to the latter days. And not only does it tell you why these things are happening, but it also is going to tell you how you can get on the right side of Jehovah. And so this is what I wanted to highlight to you today. And we're going to start off, if I may, we want to start off talking about the Song of Moses. So I'm going to introduce you now. Most of all of Deuteronomy 32 is about the Song of Moses. And let me tell you, when I've been taking and still taking classes at the Israel Institute of Biblical Studies. And I don't know that I'll stop anytime soon. And then I'll probably go on to Hebrew University or something and continue. I don't think I'll ever stop learning, because I don't
Why
want to.
stop? Why stop, right?
Why stop? You know, then you have no vision, right? I need a vision.
Why stop learning? I mean, life is about learning, right?
That's right.
It
It
doesn't
is,
make
especially when it comes to his word, right, Brian?
Absolutely.
So I want us to go back to Deuteronomy 31, where we are introduced to the Song of Moses. Now, real quick, I had an instructor. I'm sorry, Brian. I had an instructor. His name is Yehuda. He was my second instructor. And I see in Deuteronomy 31, we were commanded, the children of Israel were commanded to memorize the Song of Moses. And I felt sorely convicted that I had never memorized it. Now, today, I read selected verses from that Song of Moses every day, and then I read the entire Song of Moses every weekend to attempt to memorize it.
Ladies and gentlemen, people of the audience, that's your homework assignment right there. Try to memorize the Song of Moses.
That's right.
Deuteronomy
That's right.
32? Yeah,
32. It's most of 32.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I asked Yehuda, I said, Yehuda, now understand Yehuda, my instructor, he's a Cohen. He's actually a Cohen, a priest in Jerusalem. So here's a priest in Jerusalem serving at there at the Temple Mount, serving there in, he's a Cohen. He does the reading every Monday of the Torah portion, because there's a portion of the Torah that they read every week. And so I asked him, I said, why is it that I can't find anywhere of how the Song of Moses is sung? Why can't I find how to sing it where it's recorded? And can you tell me? He says, we don't sing it because we're afraid of the judgments that come with it.
The testimony.
Right. And I said, well, that makes sense as to why I can't seem to find it anywhere other than, I know that Suzanne Hake Ventura, she did a music key, and she's converted things from the ta'anim, the cantillation markings, into music. And so I get that. But is that really the music that the Song of Moses was written in? I'm not sure, honestly.
Well, to me, just I don't want to put shade on the Cohen, but isn't that kind of disobedient if Moses said to do this in all your generations? Remember the song?
I left that one alone.
Okay, yeah.
Didn't want to be thrown out of the class.
Well, I'm telling you, I need to be doing it too. I need to memorize it. So I guess I got homework as well.
We all do, because I can't seem to get past verse 4 after all these years that I've been trying to memorize it. And I'm only doing the English version right now. So it's a long song. And I think that's the problem, is that it's really a long song. It's pretty complicated. So let's go ahead and start back, and let's look at Deuteronomy 31, where we're introduced to the Song of Moses. We'll go down one more and another. Okay, so I'm going to start off with verse 12. Assemble the people, the men and the women and the little ones, and your sojourner who is within your gates, so that they hear and so that they learn to fear Jehovah your Elohim and guard to do all the words of the Torah. By the way, I need to mention this doesn't exclude anyone. So no one is excluded, even those that are sojourners from this covenant. So I just want to highlight that. That's the reason why it's bolded there.
Mhm. I guess maybe the dog and the cat are excluded, but everyone else, you're included in this.
I'll tell my cat he's excluded then.
Yeah. All
And
right.
their children who have not known it should hear, and their children should not who have not known it, and learn to fear Jehovah your Elohim as long as you live in the land you are passing over the Jordan to possess. So this is to learn how to fear Jehovah, right?
Mhm.
And Jehovah said to Moses, see, the days have drawn near for you to die. Call Joshua and present yourselves in the tent of appointment so that I command him. And Moses and Joshua went and presented themselves in the tent of appointment. And Jehovah appeared at the tent in the column of a cloud, and the column of a cloud stood above the door of the tent. Now we've got this thing that's about to happen, and it's
Mhm.
about to be profound. So let's go ahead and go down one.
God has showed up.
He is showing up. And Jehovah said to Moses, see, you are about to sleep with your fathers, and this people shall rise and whore after gods of the strangers and of the land into the midst of which they shall enter, and forsake me and break my covenant which I made with them.
Mm.
Then my displeasure shall burn against them in that day. And
Mm.
I shall forsake them and hide my face from them, and they shall be consumed, and many evils and distresses shall come upon them. And it shall be said in that day, is it not because our Elohim, our God, is not in our midst that these evils have come upon us? And I shall certainly hide my face in that day because of all the evil which they have done, for they shall turn to other gods. Now, I highlighted and stressed in that day because in that day is a term that identifies this great and dreadful day where Jehovah will be bringing his judgment upon the earth for breaking his covenant. It's a dreadful day that from the past and from the future, looking back, each one will know what you mean when you say, you remember that day, in that day, in that day to come. It will be
Mhm.
well known because of the judgment that Jehovah will be bringing in that day. So it's known as in that day.
Mhm. And, notice this is a prophecy, people. It's saying that things are going to get evil. People are going to get more evil. God's going to turn away from them, and then they're going to notice, like, oh, God's not with us because we're evil. And then there's
Right.
going to be consequences. Take us on to the consequences, Janice.
That's right. Let's keep going. All right. And now write down this song for yourselves and teach it to the children of Israel. Put it in their mouths so that this song is to me for a witness against
Mm.
the children of Israel. And I shall bring them to the land flowing with milk and honey, of which I swore to their fathers, and they shall eat and be satisfied and be fat. And then they shall turn to other gods, and they shall serve them, and scorn me, and break my covenant. And it shall be when many evils and distresses come upon them, that this song shall answer before them as a witness. For it is not to be forgotten in the mouths of their seed, for I know their thoughts which they are forming today, even before I bring them into the land which I swore to give them. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen the first witness. The
Mhm.
song is a witness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about witnesses real quick before we
Yes,
move on.
please.
So, witnesses in the Torah, it can be visually people, and you need 2 or 3 people, could be 3 sometimes. But you need 2 to 3 people as witness, as people who testify, like in a court case. If something has happened, it goes before the Sanhedrin. You can't just have one person accusing somebody. You have to have 2 witnesses. You have to have evidence. And so that could also be not only people who have witnessed something. It can also be evidence, physical evidence that testifies, that cries out to the crime or the situation, right? And so, a smoking gun can be evidence, right? Or a person's testimony of eyewitness can be
Mhm.
evidence as well. That is biblically speaking. So evidence can be more than just someone saw something.
That's right. And so now we've got one that's standing there watching the people. And the song, believe it or not, is now being commanded to come to life. This is now, he's making a decree. This song is now commanded to basically come to life. And you bring that evidence of what my people's doing. Okay.
Mm.
So let's go to the next page, Brian.
All right. I'm really excited to get into the song.
Absolutely. Up one more.
Uh-huh.
I think you went down. Go up two more.
Okay.
One more, I think. Did I miss it? Okay, no, you're right. You're right. Go down
Yeah.
one more. I'm sorry.
There
And
we go.
Moses wrote this song the same day and taught it to the children of Israel. And he commanded Joshua, son of Nun, and said, "Be strong and courageous, for you are to bring the children of Israel into the land which I swore to them, and I myself am with you." And it came to be when Moses had completed writing the words of this Torah in a book until their completion that Moses commanded the Levites who bore the ark of the covenant of Jehovah, saying, "Take this book of the Torah, and you shall place it beside the ark of the covenant of Jehovah, your
Mhm.
Elohim, and it shall be there as a witness against you."
Mm.
Now, you have witness number two,
Number
which is the
2.
Torah itself. And it
Mhm.
is commanded to sit by the ark of the covenant of Jehovah because it stands as a witness. And now this is an official decree. This is a judgment, a decree that is set in court. And now it has become a law, kind of like our natural laws. We have the law of gravity and so forth. This is now a law that is put into motion, that the song and the Torah now are risen up, and they are now serving as witness against the people of Jehovah because they're monitoring to see if they have broken the covenant.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Now, Janice, I just want to back up, and I have to point this out before we move on. I just I always have to, I love types and shadows. Anytime I
yes,
see a type and shadow,
yes,
I get excited. And I'm looking here at verse 23. It's got Joshua, son of Nun. Well, Joshua, his formal full name would be Yehoshua.
yes,
Well, that's the same name as our Messiah, Yehoshua, shortened
yes,
form Yeshua. So we have Yeshua, and then you read, "Be strong and courageous, for you are to bring the children of Israel into the land which I swore to them, and I myself am with you." Now
amen.
we just got done looking at this in Revelation, where Yeshua
That's
is
right.
bringing his people, Israel, back to the land. And then they're setting up the millennial reign. And then we see after that, we see New Jerusalem. And it's all based on Israel coming back together and coming into the land
That's right.
that God promised. It's his.
That's right.
And so I see another type and shadow here of the Messiah and what he's going to do, wrapped up
And
inside of this Song of
you know
Moses.
what's really interesting, though, Brian, is that this had to be told to Moses because Moses represents the Torah, right? And
Mhm,
because Moses represents the Torah, and that Jehovah says, "I'm going to raise up another prophet like you, Moses,"
mhm,
and this prophet like you, Moses, will support and follow through with the Torah. He will endorse it.
mhm.
He will he will raise it
Al
up. He
mhm.
will endorse it, right?
Yep, and he was also always referencing himself as the walking, talking Torah.
That's
The
exactly
Torah
right.
is referred to as the bread of life. Yeshua said,
Yes.
"I am the bread of life," etc.,
Yes.
etc. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
So, okay, well, let's go ahead and go. Now we have what? We have the two witnesses, right? But we're missing
Mhm.
two more. We need to find two more. So let's
Mm,
go to the next page.
okay.
"For I myself know your rebellion and your stiff neck. See, while I am still alive with you today, you have been rebellious against Jehovah. Then how much more after my death? Assemble unto me all the elders of your tribes and your officers, that I may speak these words in their hearing, and call the heavens and the earth to witness against them.
Mhm.
For I know that after my death you shall do very corruptly, and turn aside from the way which I've commanded you, and evil shall come upon you in the latter days,
Whoa,
because
there it
you
is.
do what is evil in the eyes of Jehovah, to provoke him through the work of your hands.
Mhm.
Brian, this is in the latter days.
Yep. When God can't take any more, right? The earth gets so wicked, he's back
Yes.
to I'm just gonna have to I'm gonna have to send my son down there. He's gonna have to wipe them out. We'll just start over
Enough
with
is
the
enough,
millennial
he's
reign.
saying.
Yep.
So this is that in that day is that day of judgment. And then we've got the latter days. There's no if,
Mhm.
ands, or buts as to when this is going to happen, right? So this is now saying, I've prescribed this against the people, the servants, and the people of Jehovah. I prescribed it against the earth and those who break my covenant. So therefore, this is going to happen in the latter days, and he's now prescribed it, preserved it, and he set it aside. So what he's done is he says, okay, this is going to happen in the latter days, and I have sealed it up, for the
Mhm.
lack of a better term. I have sealed it up, and I am waiting to give it to them in the latter days because of their disobedience, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Now, Janice, I know you have a take on, and I know a lot of other scholars will agree to this, but on saying heavens and the earth to witness against them. We talked a little bit about what exactly does that mean when the heavens are witnessing against you.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I do have it near the end of this presentation,
Okay. Yeah.
something that I'm going to quote and show you what
Okay.
it means, because it's an idiom. It's an idiom, and it
All right.
certainly does mean something very
Hmm.
specific.
Yeah. There's your teaser. I don't want to ruin it for you.
So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and turn down one more slide, please.
Okay.
All right, so here's our four witnesses. We have the song, the Torah, the heavens, and the earth. So there's
Mhm.
our four witnesses, and they have now been decreed, commanded. A judgment has been made. They have been given a life, so to speak, to bring against the people the witness, whether good or bad, whether you're on one side of the Father or not. You now have someone monitoring you. These four witnesses are monitoring everything that we're doing.
Mhm.
They're now going to be used by Jehovah for his witnesses.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, hey, that's kind of like four dimension, like 3D, 4D. This like
Yes,
encapsulates all of reality, right?
it does.
So radio waves, frequency, songs. Torah is the walking, talking, loving God, loving your neighbor, heavens
Yes.
above and the earth below.
Yes.
You're like capturing everything with that. That's kind of cool.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So
All
let's
right.
go ahead and turn down another slide. So, Brian, I'm going to ask these questions. If the Song of Moses was written down, what would it be written on? What would you think it would be written on?
I would say a scroll.
I would say a scroll too. Okay. Now, if it were to be implemented in the latter days, how would it be locked down until that day? What do you suspect it would be? You have a scroll.
Mm.
How would you lock
Yeah.
it down?
Well, I mean, you have to seal it with
Okay.
the typical seal,
We've got to
wax or
seal it.
clay.
Okay,
Mhm.
so we're going to seal it. Now, if any of this is true, which it is true, wouldn't this be presented in some way in the book of Revelation? Wouldn't it be there?
Well, if it's latter days, that would make sense that,
Okay.
the book of Revelation is the revealing of the latter days,
Okay.
and it's kind of a playbook for us to know what's coming. So, yeah,
Okay.
I would agree with that.
So let's go ahead and go down to the next slide.
Mhm.
So we have the scroll of mysteries, a Cochin Hebrew Revelation. I apologize that this, unfortunately, the the this all the wording's changed and everything's changed on this. So we have in Revelation 15 verse 3, I saw something like a sea of glass mixed with fire, which in which those who overcame the beast and its idol were standing by the sea of glass, and they had lyres of Jehovah. They sang the song of Moses and the song of the Lamb, saying, "Great are the works of Jehovah, Elohim of armies. Justice and truth are your ways, King of kings." Now, this came directly out of the Scroll of Mysteries, which is the Cochin Hebrew revelation. So my theory, and I'm going to call it a theory, but my theory is that we do have a sealed scroll that does bring judgment, and we're learning about this song. And so they said they have to sing the song of Moses and the song of the Lamb. So these are two separate songs, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and the I see two songs. I've always saw two songs with that verse. Actually.
right.
Mhm.
So now we have two songs. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Hopefully, I didn't mess up the font too bad. Okay, good. We're good. So now I'm going to call the first scroll that we see in Revelation the Song of Moses scroll. So I'm going to step out on a limb, Brian,
Mhm.
and I'm going to call that scroll the Song of Moses scroll. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we have now this scroll of the Song of Moses, and it says in Revelation 5, verse 1 of the scroll of mysteries. And the one who sat upon the throne, I saw in his right hand a scroll sealed from within and on the outside with 7 seals. And I saw a messenger cry out with a great voice, "Who is worthy to open the scroll and break its seals?" But no one in the heavens or the earth was able to open the scroll and see it. Now we have this scroll that appears in Revelation that has 7 seals. What all do we know about this scroll, Brian?
Well, it's sealed up, and at this point, no one has come forward to be able to open it. But
Right.
there
And
is one.
there is one that's going to open this scroll. And so let's go ahead and turn down one more page.
Okay.
I saw in the midst of the throne the living creatures and the 24 elders standing as the lamb was killed. And he had 7 horns and 7 eyes, and which are the 7 spirits of Jehovah sent into all the earth. And of course, that matches up with Isaiah 11, 1 through 5. And he came and he took the scroll from the right hand of he who sat upon the throne, which is Jehovah. And he, when he took the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell before the Lamb, and in their hands were lyres and censers full of incense, which are the prayers of the holy ones. So now the scroll is going from Jehovah to Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this mystery scroll that is sealed from within and through, it has 7 seals on it, and it is not going to be opened until when, Brian?
Well, until it's officially all the seals have been
The
popped
latter
off
days, right?
in the
It's
latter
scheduled for
days. Yeah,
right.
that's right.
So it's scheduled for the latter days. Well, that seems to match up with the Song of Moses that is scheduled for the latter days.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and go down one
Yeah.
more.
And
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
just want to point out real quick, think about the relationship that we had with Moses and God Almighty. He was like, the big guy. How many times? I think it was 80 some times God said, "I'm the one that brought you out of the land of
Yeah.
Egypt." The Bible is so centered on that message, that moment of God using Moses to save his people and then
Yes.
to make a covenant with them.
That's
And
right.
then the prophecy, of course, obviously, of Moses saying there's going to come another one after me. We find that out to be Yeshua. And
Yes.
what was Yeshua's message? Get back to what Moses wrote.
That's right. Because he
And
wrote
so,
about me, Yeshua said.
right. And so you see him, dismantling the Pharisees and pointing everybody back to Moses. Do what Moses said to do. Do what God
Yes.
gave Moses. And he basically just quoted from Moses. He quoted from the Old
Yes.
Testament the whole time. So the 2 most important people in the Bible are Moses and Yeshua, who's also the lamb, the slain lamb. So you
Amen.
have Moses scroll and the lamb scroll. That's Yeshua there.
Right. So now let's go ahead and turn down one more page. So the seals are breaking, right, Brian? Now the seals are breaking. Something happens with each of these seals. Something dreadful happens each time. So now this is being unleashed upon the earth. Seal number 1, we have the white horse who came to prevail and be victorious in Revelation 6.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the second seal that is broken, that Yeshua breaks open. It's the red horse. And he takes peace and from the earth and has a great sword in Revelation 6. Then he breaks the third seal. And then there's the black horse the man has with him scales in his hand, which brings hyperinflation. Then you have the fourth seal, which is not a green horse, ladies and gentlemen. It's a strong model horse. This matches Zechariah 6. And when you understand that, then you realize the directions that these horses are going, because it's described in Zechariah 6. You see the plagues that they bring in Revelation. You see the direction that they go in Zechariah 6. That's the reason why connecting these things to the Old Testament and defining the information that we've been missing, the missing puzzle pieces, so to speak. This is what this scroll of mysteries, and the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, it's called scroll of mysteries, is because the very first important word in this this manuscript is Sedot. So Hasadot is the mysteries. It is not revelation. It is the scroll of mysteries, because there's more than one mystery being revealed in the Cochin Hebrew revelation. And that's the reason why Brian and I took a lot of time and effort to go chapter by chapter, verse by verse, to speak about these things and how they connect to the Old Testament and the things that they reveal by that connection.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, Brian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just want to say, we didn't want our listeners to miss any little detail. We wanted our walkthrough study to stand the test of time, which is why we went line by line, verse by verse, word by word. So,
and that's also the reason why we have an interlinear table that is broken down word for word for word. Okay. And so it helps people to learn Hebrew and to better understand the Hebrew and the complexities of what we have in our hand. And so now we're looking at the scroll of mysteries. These seals are being broken, and every seal brings something horrible, right? Something big and something massive. And now the fifth seal's broken. And then there's the souls under the earth in Revelation 6 that are crying out and saying, please, please, vindicate us. Then you have the sixth seal. Now there's earthquakes, and the sun has become dark, and the moon has become blood red. But then, Brian, there's a pause between the sixth and the seventh seal.
Mm-hmm.
4 messengers arrive on the scene. 4 witnesses arrive on the scene and hold back the destruction in order that the 144,000 are sealed in Revelation 7. So, ladies and gentlemen, so what is happening here? You have the song, you have the Torah, you have the heavens, and you have the earth that are now holding back the winds that are going to bring destruction upon the earth. Hey, Brian, you want to show our screen, our faces real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Because I want to show you something. You have them going, hold back, guys, hold back. Don't do anything yet. Stand back. Don't push. Don't shove.
Get ready,
That's
but
enough.
Don't go.
And so behind them, there is a horde of things about to happen. And so these that are the witnesses are holding back these things and saying, this is about to come upon you. And we're going to be talking a lot about the heavens as a witness shortly, and why it is so important to understand this. These 4 witnesses are the 4 messengers, because this is the song of Moses that was scrolled up and sealed for the latter days. This is huge bombshell information, Brian.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I want more, Janice. I want more.
So this is the reason why we need to understand that this was revealed for such a time as this, right? And so for such a time as this, we need to understand something is about to happen, even when with this video going live, it wouldn't surprise me if something else happened.
Mm,
Brian and I have witnessed these horrible things that
mhm,
I cannot even describe, that has been many attempts to keep us from sharing the scroll of mysteries with you, because there are many who didn't want you to know that what's revealed in this thing and all that has been concealed for the latter days. Guess what, guys? We're
mhm.
in the latter days. We're in the latter
If you
days.
don't think you're in the latter days, just look around. You're not seeing all the stuff that's happening? I mean, they got red heifers in Jerusalem right now. I mean, come on now.
So we've got a lot of problems
Yeah.
going on. The even with Iran, they're saying they're not done yet. Israel's
Yeah.
saying we're not done yet. There's more
Mhm.
stirring.
They just
And
they just issued a fatwa, saying, "Hey,
right,
please go and take out the president."
take out
Just,
Netanyahu and
can you
Trump.
just stop, please? I mean, you just wanna keep escalating the
They're escalating. And so I wanted to bring this to the people because we're about to see some things. This is only the foundation of what everything that is in the book is describing.
Mhm,
Because what goes from here, now when the scroll is completely rolled open, all the judgments described in the Song of Moses is being unleashed upon the people. Now, um, it's going to be up to you, all the viewers, as to which side you want to be on,
mhm,
because this is your time, and the time is now to go back to the covenant and to seek Jehovah with your heart, mind, and soul, and to rededicate yourself to Him
mhm.
in this covenant.
Yeah, and, you know, Moses was at Sinai when this is being written down, this Song of Moses. And so, Janice, you and I were at Mount Sinai. We did a
Yes,
covenant renewal at Mount
yes,
Sinai, the real Mount Sinai, not the
yes,
traditional one that's in Egypt. Talking about
yes.
the one in Saudi Arabia, Northwest Saudi Arabia. And if you want to partake in the covenant renewal, you can get that at projecttruthministries.org. Janice also included it in the back of our translation for the Hebrew scroll of mysteries. Highly encourage that. That was kind of something important, to us and personally to me, and digging down deep and being really serious with my walk and relationship with
Amen.
with the Almighty.
Amen.
So I encourage that.
Well, what happened when we did the covenant, Brian, is that miracles happen. And in this age of everything being digital, and you always have a camera in your hands, called a phone, we all capture the miracles. We captured the significant
Yeah.
miracles that happened there at Mount Sinai
Mhm.
when we did the covenant. And yes, we do have a video of all of this that is on projecttruthministries.org. And I am putting this in every single book that I publish, just because it needs to be in every book, that those who want to have that covenant, because the covenant is renewed in Jeremiah 31, verse 31. The covenant is renewed. And so then it's the Torah, the command, the covenant is written upon our hearts and inward parts, so that it would cause us to walk in His ways and to love Him in His way. And that's the whole point of all this, that now Jehovah reveals Himself. And so what we bring with us are the miracles of Mount Sinai.
Mhm.
All of this is about bringing to you the revelation of His word, the miracles of Mount Sinai, and an opportunity for you to partake of Yeshua's flesh and blood, to be part of the oneness of our God.
Mhm.
And so all of this is part of that.
Mhm.
So
Hallelujah. Now, Janice, let's reel back into
yes,
our scroll our
our
breakdown.
presentation.
Yeah, our breakdown of
Yeah.
what's in your
So
book and what's also, in
now
the
this is
scroll of
only,
Moses.
yeah, the scroll of
Mhm.
Moses. So this is a summary of what all is in there. We have the seven seals of the scroll of Moses. It's sealed within and from the outside. It releases judgment once the seals are broken. The four witnesses hold back the destruction for the sealing of 144,000.
Mhm.
But then after all the seals are broken, they're unleashing their fury.
Mhm.
This is sung by those, this song is being sung by those, the Song of Moses is being sung by those that standing on the sea of fire and glass, right?
We'll also have the caveat. So if you notice in the millennial reign, let me show our faces. In the millennial reign, the 144,000 are gathered around Yeshua, and guess what they're doing? They're singing and praising and
They
worshiping.
are.
They are singers. The 144,000 are singers. They got
That's
beautiful
right.
voices.
And they're not just
Mhm.
typical singers, they're power of God
Mm.
singers. And
Right.
another teaching I
Peaceful.
did.
Power singing. They're power singing. I wish I had a voice. You don't
Well,
want to hear me sing.
I carry mine in a bucket, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm praying the Father would give me the voice to do power singing,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
Again, another teaching I did about the miracle singing, and I did that on The Way Remnant with Jeff Miranda, and it's on projecttruthministries.org. If you're a singer, you really do not want to miss that. I think it's under the Weapons of Warfare video. Well, I keep digressing. We need to finish this
All right.
off because this is
Okay.
awesome. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is where we are going to touch on the heavenly beings. This is an idiom. When you have the heavens and the earth as a witness, the heavens is a metaphor, an idiom that means heavenly beings. This is huge. So now you see this is a witness that's holding back all the demons and angels saying, "Hold up, guys. We got the 144,000 that's being sealed. So stand by before we go destroying this earth."
Yeah.
So now let's go down to the next one. So this is a statement by a scholar named Joseph Fitzmyer, and he states that Moses called to the heavens and the earth is comparable to the invocations of divine witnesses before whom these ancient treaties were solemnized. For example, in the treaty between the Hittite king Sopoluma the first and Hukana, leader of territory called Hayasa, the Hittite king states, "I have now placed these words, the terms of this treaty, under oath for you, and we have now summoned the 1,000 gods to assembly in this matter." So this is heavenly beings. Every demon is now being called for those that are disobedient. These are demons that are under that command as part of the heavenly beings. And this is the reason why you'll see more of these inflictions from the demonic, is because those that have rejected the covenant of Jehovah now will have to suffer the demonic attacks. Now, either A, it is going to be a test like Job was tested, or B, you've given a rite of passage, meaning you've broken the covenant. So we know that Jehovah does test people to strengthen their faith. We also know that demons are put into people to bring correction, direction, and destroying the fleshly nature of man. And then once, for example, if you bring an idol into your house, such as an idol from Egypt, and you say, "Well, that's kind of cute," I get into there's a ritual that these witches and Satanists and all these Luciferians do. They do a ritual to have these idols inhabited by the demonic. So you've now opened a door into your home to bring destruction into your home and upon your family, your children, and all those in your home. And it's like all idols must be burned and pulverized. That is the scripture. Burn it and pulverize it. If it's worshiped in any way, if it's some kind of idol in any way, get it out of your home and destroy it. So you've now opened this door. We've now got the heavenly beings as now witnesses, because Jehovah commanded this to be a witness against us. If we have come into this against the Jehovah's covenant, and we have gone into rebellion, then we now have that open door for whatever to happen in our houses. People are suffering from all kinds of crazy poltergeist activities, um, things flinging around their house. They're going into a sleep paralysis where they can't move. They're being attacked, and I'll go more into that on another video. But we have serious consequences that are happening, and it could be because it's a test, but it could be because we have broken the covenant and we have gone into full on rebellion against Jehovah's covenant. And these are the latter days where he says, in that day, I'm turning my face from you. In that day, these terrible things will happen to you. These are to happen in the latter days. I'm speaking not other than the verses that comes before the Song of Moses in Deuteronomy 31. This is pure scripture.
Mhm.
Brian, what do you think
Yeah,
about that?
well, I completely agree, and you know, as we get into the Song of Moses, it becomes very apparent that this is showing different levels of where people are at in their life, and we know that Revelation, when it gets bad, it's going to go from bad to worse,
Mm-hmm.
and people are going to fall away, and things are going to get worse, and each one of us are going to be tested. Everybody's going to be tested. You know, are you going to bear down and get more serious about your walk with God, or are you going to fall loosey goosey and, you know, fall away and then start letting these things into your house, letting things happen, you know, attaching other people in your life that probably shouldn't be in your life? You know, we know that God uses the enemy. He will use, just like he used Babylon, he use Syria. He used all these evil empires. He uses evil. He sends the enemy to you to test you or correct you. And Israel kept falling every time we
Mm-hmm.
saw that. They were doing wicked things, evil things, and saying, like, oh, there's no consequences. You know, God's, you know, he's not looking, he's off somewhere. You know, we haven't seen him in a while. Well, if, you know, in the future, people are going to have that same attitude, like, oh, there's no God, you know, oh, I don't believe in that. That's all fairy tales. Okay, well, you're going to get the wrath. You're going to get the wrath. You're going to get the judgment. And you want to know why your life is so miserable? Well, you got all these idols in your house, and you don't even know they're idols.
Right. You know, I know that there's probably, I haven't seen anyone to make these kind of bold statements about the scroll in Revelation being the Song of Moses. I don't remember this ever. And maybe it has been concealed into this day. I don't know that either. But I am definitely convinced that the scroll that is being broken, the seals are being broken, that it is the Song of Moses that's reserved for the latter days, and that once it's fully open, then everything is that is within the Song of Moses is unleashed upon the earth, and that this is a dreadful time, that when we see these seals being broken, and I believe that we're in the process of that, that we need to understand exactly what's going on and the choices that we all have to make. Now, this is not going to be all about gloom and doom, because in the book, I also tell you how to overcome the dragon slash the beast,
Mhm.
because I'm convinced that they're both this one and the same. And so the Psalm 91 is going to be very important. Actually, let's look at the next
Mhm.
slide,
Yeah, let's
because
go
now
on.
we're talking about heavenly beings, right? But did you guys know that there are demons' names mentioned in the Song of Moses? These are demons' names mentioned in the Song of Moses. Not only that, there are demons' names mentioned in Psalms 91. And this is what we're going to be talking about at the Way Remnant on when I go on July 7th at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. But here's a new one. Because we have the Cochin Hebrew New Testament manuscript, there is a verse. Do you guys remember the verse where it says, "But this kind come out not but by prayer and fasting"? It doesn't say that in the Cochin Hebrew Matthew.
Mhm.
It says something different that now links it back to the Song of Moses, because the same thing is being told to us in the Song of Moses. There are new demons coming, new ones that has not yet been named, at least according to our understanding, named. But there were new demons during the time of Moses. There will be new demons in the latter days.
Mhm. Now,
This is what we're going to
now,
be talking about next time.
well, yeah, just to expand your thinking on that. Well, there could be angels continuing to fall, or it could be God Almighty is holding them back. They're reserved. They're not yet
It could
able
be.
to go and do the things that they want to do. So, maybe there's a third option. I don't know, but
I don't
it's
know.
yeah, just to
I don't
stir
know,
some thinking there.
but yeah, so this is now only the introduction to what is in the book, The Demons, Devils, Deities, and the Four Witnesses. And there is a basically a prescription, how to get yourself on the right side of Jehovah and his covenant. I also included the covenant in the back of the book and how you can rededicate yourselves. This book is for sale at Amazon.com, and it's only $15, and you guys will absolutely love it. I think that this will revolutionize your understanding of what's going on in Revelation, because I'm convinced that all of Revelation, what's happening in Revelation, is what's happening in the Song of Moses that was reserved for the latter days. And this is the reason why the Song of Moses must be sung again.
Absolutely. And we all need to learn it and memorize it. There's
That's right.
there's parts of this song that you see and you're like, oh, okay, that represents this grouping of people that are living today. You read a little further, it's like that represents another grouping of people. Okay, we're covering all these different types of people and lifestyles and everything throughout the actual um song. And so that tells you, like, hey, it's the reason why it's called a testify or a witness. It testifies against you is because it's encompassing everybody. It's
Yes,
encompassing the whole story of what's going on the earth.
that's right. That's right. And so now we've got the foundation of what this book is about. It's about the revelation is a song of Moses being unleashed in the latter days. Okay? And so now the for going forward, when I talk with Jeff Miranda on the Way Remnant, we'll be talking about these heavenly beings. And the reason why is because we started talking about on one of their shows about the Psalm 91 and how important it is. And I'm just challenging you guys. Psalm 91, when you read it out loud, you are metaphorically placing yourself under the protection of Jehovah, and you must speak it out loud, and that it should be spoken over your children. I personally do it in the mornings, and I personally do it before when the sun goes down, and the day begins when the sun goes down. So, because understand, witchcraft and the demonic things happen. They get together at midnight, from midnight to 2 a.m., and all their horrible things that they do. So therefore, I make sure that those that I'm lifting up to, our families, my husband, our children, that everyone is covered, because I have prayed that over them. And there's more than just that in the book, guys. We have to understand this has been prescribed for these latter days, and we must get back to our assignment and learn the Song of Moses. For this is the reason why the Song of Moses and the Song of the Lamb must be sung. And that's the reason why I'm here to bringing this to you today.
Absolutely. This is very important. Listen, there are some amazing things in this book. Trust me, you're not going to be disappointed. Go and get this book. Janice, can you tell us where we can get this book? Can you tell
Sure.
us?
Actually, you can go to Amazon.com, and you can find it under my name, Janice Baca, and you can see Demons, Devils, Deities, and the Four Witnesses. And so easy to purchase one. And of course, I challenge you guys to go to projecttruthministries.org. We have the Scroll of Mysteries, the Cochin Hebrew Revelation, that has already been translated. We are in the process of translating the Cochin Hebrew Matthew, and we're putting out the interlinear tables and everything else. I think we've completed chapter 12, and now we're working on 13. And so that will soon be released. We do not charge for anything to publish these things for you. The Scroll of Mysteries and the Cochin Matthew is yours for free. We are entirely supported by donations, and I'm thankful for that because people have been gracious to us and helped us. And I thank you that if you choose to help us, you're welcome to help us as well. And so we thank you, all of you, for being with us today. And I do challenge you to really let this absorb this, because there's more. I can't even possibly touch on everything that's in this book, because everything that's in this book is just tons and tons of information, and that it is just absolutely amazing. There's some miracles and testimonies I've included in this book, and I think you guys will find it all very inspirational and encouraging. And so I challenge you guys to get the book, to study it. There are a number of study groups that are starting. And find you a study group, get involved, and start learning about the Song of Moses scroll that is being opened up by Yeshua in these latter days, because it's been prescribed at this time.
Listen, people, I'm telling you, I've worked with Janice for going on 3 years now. She goes deep. She gets deep into the Hebrew and the nuts and bolts, the grammar and everything. And you're gonna love this book. You're gonna be mind blown of all the discoveries and all the little things she links up. And this is, I mean, I've never heard anybody else say this theory, this concept here, that the Song of Moses is that scroll that we see in Revelation. That's pretty astounding. And you know what? The more I think about it, the more I say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, for it to be a witness and to have all the stuff in it that
Right?
the Song of Moses has, yeah, that's perfect. That lines up to me. So,
Absolutely.
definitely, everybody, go out and get you one of these books. You will not be disappointed. You're going to love it. And also, subscribe to the Way Remnant. Thank you, the Way Remnant, for setting this up. You're awesome. Can't wait to go on, share some more stuff with you guys. And subscribe to Project Truth Ministries. We love you. We love you. God bless you.
Absolutely.
We want to encourage you to keep reading your Bibles. As always, God bless.
God bless.